Hey guys, it's Maya, and welcome back to episode 3 of It's Just Fucking Therapy. Don't really have any updates this episode, so we can just jump right into it. Today, I have my friend Jazz joining me.
Hey y'all.
Me and Jazz, we've been best friends for like 6 years now.
We
7
started
years?
as cyber best friends.
Yes, I feel like every time I get up here and I like introduce a guest, I'm like, yeah, we met online. Do not do that. But we met through a mutual friend, but it was still online. And our first interaction, meeting in person, I just flew out here and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stay with you. And we're gonna see if we like each other. Didn't know her, didn't know anything about her. She didn't even know me.
I mean, we talked on the phone and stuff, but like, yeah.
We planned a trip and then I came out here, and then throughout the years, I was just like, I'm gonna move to AZ, and she's like been very helpful on the journey. Actually let me stay with her and sleep on her couch for a couple months when I first got out here too. So
that was
we're super locked in now.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That was probably the funnest 6 months of my life.
That was a good 6 months. You know, living with people can be tough, can be hard, but especially, you know, with me just sleeping on the couch, but we made it work and we got along very well. Like
we really only had one disagreement, and that was when you first came out here, because you was like fresh out Chicago, like she was fresh out Chicago, so she was cut, like she was cut from that Chicago cloth. I mean, she's still cut from that cloth, but no, she was like just pull up, but she meant let's talk about it.
Yeah,
but she said,
we got into a disagreement. Like I can't even remember what it was. Probably just me being stuck in my ways, like my Chicago mentality,
just a miscommunication.
Yeah, my way of talking, like our slang back home, like I was like, okay, pull up. Like I get pull up meaning like fight, but also too like where we from, like pull up. Like if you really want to talk about it, pull up. She must have took that as like I'm finna. I'm like, that's my best friend. I would never put my hands on her. So.
No, it was just that's why I was so lost. I was like, I don't think.
Yeah, no. I'm like, but things can get misinterpreted via, you know, like text.
You never
like,
know how
someone's saying something.
That's very true.
So tell the people about yourself, Jazz.
Man, this is kind of funny. So I do stand-up comedy. So like, I feel like I'm doing a set, you know, like this is how I start my set. So my name is Jasmine, but I go by Jazzy Ray. I do stand-up comedy. I'm a graphic designer. I'm an Aries. We love Aries. My birthday
it is Aries season too.
My birthday just passed, but by the time this video dropped, it'll have been like three weeks.
Yeah, so. little cool. Something. But y'all can still do a little happy birthday in there too.
Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I'm 25 years old and I'm biracial, mixed with black and white. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And a graphic designer, y'all.
She's
a graphic designer.
Heavy on the graphic designer.
Yeah, we'll drop the social media links and the @handles below once the video drops. But yeah, let's get back into that biracial comment. What's going on with that over there, Jazz? How has your experiences been growing up biracial?
Definitely now being 25, I realize my lens of life is so different than a lot of people. Like just growing up with a white mother is definitely different than growing up with a black mother. And I realized that having black friends with black mothers, like, not to say there was anything wrong with the way my mother raised me. Like she did a great job. She's just not a black woman. So there's certain things that a black woman can give to another black woman. You know what I mean? So, but like no shade on my mom. She did a great job raising me.
Sure.
Love her. Love you, Sean.
Yeah, little shout out. So do you feel like you were ever like set back growing up as far as like seeing black girls with their hair a certain way, eating certain foods? Like was there ever like a little disconnect between you and your mother, just not having those experiences that someone who had like two black parents?
I really didn't see a disconnect until like I would say probably like 2020, like when the pandemic happened. Because I had like all white friends up until I was like a junior in high school. So I was hanging out with white people. My family was white. And like, don't get me wrong, I hung out with my black side of the family, but we're just so, our family is very diverse. So like I have everything in my family. And being in school, when I did start to make black friends, they would say stuff like, this is going to sound so stupid. I didn't know what edges were at first. I just thought I had like baby hairs. So they were like, I had just gotten out of my little high school relationship and they're like, he's stupid. Don't he know you got real edges and blah, blah. I was like, edges? I was like, what is edges?
So just stuff you had to learn as you got older, going along.
Like I didn't know what a weave was. I didn't know what edges were. I didn't know, like, just as far as hairstyle, I still don't know how to braid. And I know like a lot of that comes from just having like black siblings. Y'all had to braid each other's hair. So,
yeah. The cousins too, growing up, like doing certain things, like making up dances together, going to parties together, just those like certain experiences.
And I did have certain experiences with my black cousins. Like I had, that experience. I just didn't have it to the full extent, I guess you could say, because even my black cousins were like, they're kind of whitewashed too. So like,
okay. Speaking of whitewash, do you feel like you grew up whitewashed?
Just
from like childhood to adulthood.
Yeah. Originally, I would say I did. I used to feel whitewashed just because I didn't have any knowledge of really who I was as a person, like, or where I came from. The only thing I really knew was I came from slavery, and that's all I'm good for in the eyes of America. So that's really all I saw growing up. Plus me having a white mom, and the way I was raised, we were very sheltered from a lot of stuff. So I had this like, what's the word I'm looking for? Naive type of outlook on the world. So like coming out of high school, and when I did end up leaving my dad's house, I was like shocked at what the world really was. I had this completely different idea of like reality, and I was just kind of reborn, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so just had to like figure yourself up as you go along the way. Because I feel like it's with white women, getting with black men, or even vice versa. I don't think they understand the full depth of what they're doing. They like
that's an individual that you're creating.
Yes, like you don't understand the things that they have to go through in life. Like, yes, you sat here and you've conceived and you made this mixed baby, but how are you going to tend to this mixed baby? Like at the end of the day, the world still sees this child as black, no matter what. So
I think when my mom had a real eye opener, like to, you can't really hide it. My brothers, I have twin brothers. They went to go get the mail one day, and the neighbors were like accusing them of stealing the mail. So like they had to go get my mom and everything before it escalated. And I think my stepdad ended up coming outside and like saw it and stopped it. But that was kind of like an eye opener. Like, dang, all I want to do is go get the mail. You think I'm stealing mail? Like, I live here. I live right around the corner. And do you think that the neighborhood is too nice for me to live in? Like, so it kind of, I think that was an eye opener. And then plus, the pandemic kind of showed a lot of stuff. So there's definitely been a lot of like eye openers. So yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it's a lot of controversy around that too. Like I've never had much input on interracial dating. Like, I mean, do what you do, love who you want. Right. I know there are a lot of black people who will specifically only date black men or black women, and I feel like that is perfectly fine too.
I think they only make it a problem with black people. Like, it's only a problem if a black man wants to date a black woman, or a black woman wants to date a black man. They'll be like, well, you should love everybody. It's like, nobody says anything when a Mexican says they only want to date Mexicans. Nobody says anything when somebody of an Asian descent says, hey, I want to only date Asian people. I want to stay within my race. This is what I believe. They will respect that, and they'll be like, okay, cool. But as soon as an African American, a black person says, oh, I choose to only stay in my race, I want to honor my culture.
Yes.
It's like, people don't understand that, because they're like, you have cultures? Like, yes, we do.
Right, yeah. That's so crazy. Like, just hearing, people talk about that. And then I also see too, like with people in our personal lives, like if we have white friends or even black friends, and just seeing, what they go after. Like, I never like give them like the little side eye or turn my nose up, but like I always want to know, like, what interests you? And then I've had a conversation before with a black man, and he literally told me like black women are just too aggressive.
And you know what's crazy? They say black women are too aggressive, but if it's another race, they be like, oh, she's spicy. Oh,
yeah. It's cute. Yeah, it's cute.
But as soon as a black woman does it, it's like, oh, she's aggressive. She's in her masculinity. She's blah, 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 blah. But another person does it, and it's like, she knows what she wants. She's a go-getter. She has a little spice to her. I like her. Like,
yeah.
So,
and then that can go, that can go for white women too. It's like they see black men, and I feel like they think that they're more secure with them. So that's why they go after them more. And I always look at that like,
especially in Arizona.
Like, you don't see too many black men with black women. And me, I'm top-notch FBI agent. I'm scrolling through your social media. So if I see, all of you and your siblings and your family are like, mixed, and I'm just looking, I'm like, what did your mom or dad like? Okay, that's your preference. That's cool. But like,
you notice that a lot too. A lot of mixed black men will go with the race of their mother, because that's the love that they grew up with, and or vice versa, if they grew up with a black mother and had issues with her to where they feel like all black women are going to give them issues, they will result to a white woman because they feel like, well, I'm not going to deal with my mom, so I'm just going to go where it's easy. Not to say white women are easy. That's just the subconscious thought of a black man in certain instances.
And I feel like they think that they find comfort in that too. And it's like, yes, you might feel that way, but you will never experience what we go through.
And that's not to say like every interracial relationship is this way. It goes to say you can find love in another race, but a lot of times, especially nowadays, people are going after a specific race or a specific thing for the end result that comes with it, not because they love that person, not because they want to see that person succeed, not because they genuinely enjoy that person, but because they would like to reap the benefits, whether it be the hair texture their baby
I feel
gets,
like that
the
too,
skin color, whether it be being able to be a part of the culture, whether it be being able to say the N-word, whatever it is, they would like to reap the benefits.
And then I get to that point too, and I've had to ask friends this as well. I'm like, okay, you got this mixed child. Now what if your child comes out dark skin with 4C hair? Then what? What are you gonna do?
Are you gonna take a course to learn how to do their hair?
You expecting a light skin, curly hair, green, blue eye, and it's
not always like that.
It's not always like that. But you want the benefits. You want to be a part of what we do. You want to dress like us, talk like us. And
one thing I can respect about my mom is I genuinely believe the relationships that she's into is for love. Like when it was with my dad, when it's with my stepdad, solely for the fact of she never changes who she is when it comes to the relationship. So I can respect that. I respect our relationships because at the end of the day, what you eat don't make me shit. So, but I can respect that. And she'll never say the N-word. She never changes the way she talks. She'll never be like, well, I have black babies, so I'm black. You know, like
I like that. I honestly, those are the type of women, or it can go for men too, but for sure women, those are the type of women that I respect. If you're going to date or marry or conceive with someone black, cool, but don't come up in here.
Who you are.
Don't start talking in AAVE, doing the nails, the head, the head nodding, eyebrow. Like don't do certain things that I do.
I liked how she was really involved in my hair. Never looked crazy, whether it had been making sure my grandma did it or she did it herself. Like our hair never looked crazy. Now, granted, our hair might have been a little easier to do. It still never looked crazy. It's hair that she's not used to. So I can appreciate that. Like going out your way to learn about a certain type of culture that you put me into it. So you have to learn in a sense. So you know what I mean? Like I didn't ask to be here and I didn't ask to be black and white. And you know what I mean? So like, it's not up to, when I become a certain age, it is up to me to learn about myself. But up until then, it is up to the parent to instill those things in that child, because that's why there's so many issues in the black community today. Like, even if you're not mixed, you have identity crisis because you don't know where you come from. You think that you only came from slavery. You don't know anything about your culture. You're still celebrating the people who enslaved Jews, holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is about them coming to America and taking over America. We weren't even like that. We celebrating all these holidays, cultures, things that don't belong to us. Think we can't learn about where we come from because all the information is hidden, forbidden, or you get killed for it. And it's like, damn near every black person having an identity crisis. You don't know where you come from. You don't know who you are. So it's like,
you trying to learn yourself as you go. So how's your experience been now, like in your mid-20s, just learning who you are outside of what you grew up around?
I would say I had a shift probably like when I turned 21. At the time, I was dating somebody whose family owned a Black History Museum. So it was so funny. We were having a conversation one day, and he was telling me about basically something to the effect of how the white community affected the Black community. So I was just like, damn. I told him, I was like, you sound really hateful. He was like, I'm just telling you facts. And he was like, that's the problem. Like, we can't even talk about stuff without somebody saying it's hateful. Like, I'm literally just giving you facts about what happened. Like, you can look it up yourself. How is that hateful? That's not even an opinion. It's just a fact. And I was
people get offended very easily too.
So it's like, I used to be, when I first started learning about it, about my, like on my self-discovery journey, because I started with spirituality. I started before I even, got into who I am racially. I was trying to figure out, my mind and everything. And then I got into that relationship, and then I started learning. I'm like, oh, there's such thing as Black spirituality, like, and when I say Black spirituality, I mean like going into the, the things that they study in Africa as far as their religions, their cultures. So that's my spirituality. So I went into that, and so as I was going into the knowledge, I would try to tell people about it. And then they would look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, or they would say stuff like I sound hateful or I sound angry, and I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm just trying to educate you.
Trying to educate you,
because
but a lot of people don't want to be educated. They don't want to hear it though. They don't want to learn about themselves. They don't want to learn where they come from. And I feel like I remember this point in time too. I don't know if you remember. I want to say it might have been around the time I was living with you. I remember. I don't know. I feel like I was there during a different shift because we go through multiple transitions throughout life. Like nothing is linear. It doesn't just stay the same.
Right.
But I remember you were going through something at a point in time, and like you were trying to figure yourself out. And I vividly like remember this message that I sent you, and I was,
it was like after we went to California.
Yeah, it was like something like that. It was like, like I want you to learn yourself. It's fine to have your spiritual side and your religious side, but like I want you to learn yourself outside of the the spirituality, the angel numbers, the crystals, the sage. Like learn who Jazz is, and then Jazz can incorporate that in her life too.
Yeah,
I remember when you were going through that. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. Yeah, like I was it's crazy. Like it's when people say there's levels to it, it's really levels to it. Like you got to meet people where they are. So I really was like doing all this self-discovery, and I was kind of projecting that onto people, like trying to, in a sense, like if I could teach you, I'm teaching myself. So I'm like, if you accept it, I accept it. Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
and then we gotta have people around too that could like nip that in the butt, or get us back on the right path, or a path that we need to be on too.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that you were like open and receptive to what I had to say, because I didn't even want to send the message, because like we said, things can get misconstrued via text, and it's like I could have said this, and I could have had so many good intentions, and I know like my message was pure, but you could have taken it as like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, why are you coming at me like that? So I'm glad you
like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you took it. You took it well, what I was saying, because it was coming like from a place of real, genuine love and care. Like I want you to learn yourself and who you are as you're going through your identity crisis, or just figuring yourself out and who who you want to be. Like learn who Jazz is, and then Jazz can add all of those other entities in her life. And you took it very well too. You sent me a message back like, no, I definitely understand. And I've been able to like see the growth and transition of just you figuring yourself out and what you want for yourself.
Yeah,
too.
most definitely, because I think I'm always expecting to just end up at a, like, okay, I just got to end up here and then I'll be straight. It's like, no, you're always gonna, life is an uphill battle. It don't matter. Life happens to everybody, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like, it's all about perspective. So I completely agree. After that, I think that message was like a turning point as well. Cause like, I don't necessarily, not that I don't use crystals and stuff anymore, but like I don't necessarily need them as much, because I don't need, like I use sage and stuff still, because cleansing my energy, and like I just don't need as much anymore, because I feel like I found out that I'm much more powerful than any because
these factors that you put into
and
sure.
I just learned the power of my brain. I think my whole perspective and everything kind of changed, and a lot of that came from learning who I am, and learning that I'm much greater than I've learned in schools that are not even meant for me to succeed in life. It's just meant for me to be a factory worker or go to prison. Literally, that's the only two options that are coming from
and
from school.
It be like that too, yeah.
So like I just personally, I went deep into learning about just where we as Black people come from. And from my research, from what I've seen, we come from gods and goddesses too. Like a lot of cultures, that's the root of where they come from. Of their religion, their root is they are gods and goddesses. And us as Black people are as well. Look up the Orishas, the Ifa tribe, gods. A lot of religions actually took stories from that. So once I got into reading about my culture, and I'm happy I could say that now, because a lot of Black people practice American culture. Like it's not even your culture, and that's why you feel so lost, and that's why you feel like disconnected, because you are disconnected. You are. It's like I was watching this documentary, and they used the perfect example. He said, imagine living with a rapist for 20 years or however long, 100 years. You're living with a rapist for that long, and then one day he doesn't kick you out. He just stops raping you, and you still got to live with him, but he just not raping you anymore. That's what happened with us with slavery. Like we are still where we were captivated, but we're not learning anything new. We're not learning where we came from. We don't even know how the fuck we got here. We just know that we're not getting fucked anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Like, we just know, and we're not even, and we still are, just not on a surface level.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you was able to, you know, break free from that. And then especially, I'm sure it could have been a little bit more difficult or challenging just growing up, you know, with a white parent. So now you have to go the extra mile to learn yourself and figure yourself out too.
Yeah.
So I've been able to witness it, and you've been doing it well too. And I like the boundaries that you've been setting for yourself too now, especially just with your parents and things in your personal life too. That's something I'm still learning how to do. Just set boundaries with everyone, like my parents, my friends. But I think you've been doing a really good job at that. So all in all, that like helps shift the focus back to what you want for yourself too, and learning who you are.
Yeah, if you don't have boundaries, it's like if you don't know what you want, you're gonna get everything that you don't want. So I feel like setting boundaries is more, that's how you keep your peace, and that's how you become a peaceful person. Like, I don't really kick it with too many people anymore, besides like it was my birthday month, so y'all might have seen me outside. But I really don't. I kick it with probably, I got the same group of friends like that I'll seriously like dive into who I am. Like, I don't give too much of myself to too many people. Like, you know, I'll show up, I have a good time, but you might think you know me, but you don't really know me, you know, and like, that's cool with me. You know, you can connect with people and, you know, have them around you. But yeah, setting boundaries is important, because you shouldn't have to cut people out of your life. You know, you shouldn't have to just be like,
I'm definitely learning that, because you know me, like being a Cancer, I'm quick to you're done.
Because some people are irreplaceable. Like, you're some people literally, and that could, in the long run, that could fuck you up, you know, like, because it feels in this society, it feels like people are so replaceable, but it's quite the opposite, because people are so fugazi. When you get good people, you should want to keep them, even if they're not perfect at the time. You know, everybody has to grow. But like I said, you know, you never want to cut people cold turkey, just because you never know, like,
when you'll need them for one, two, what they could have done for you, just mentally.
And that's just a good person that you might want to have in your life, like, not even for like the benefit of that person, but you are just a genuine person. You've always been there for me, and I would like to connect with you from time to time, because you bring me that energy, that good, you know. It's okay to have a community of people, and I think that's where this society kind of lacks. Everybody feels like everybody's so replaceable, and you just go through,
and I
people.
could tackle on the world and problems by myself,
but
too.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, and that comes with that too, that identity, that mask. Like, you put on this facade, like you okay, you got your shit together, you got everything, you know, that you need, but it's like you're hiding behind that. Once you actually learn yourself, you will be able to be more free flowing and allow others to come in and learn you too, but also implementing boundaries where it's like, okay, you know, like, I'm learning me, I want this for myself, but I might not like how you move, but I'm gonna still keep you around somehow, you know, or like we'll work through things that we need to work through.
It could even be like if a person, let's say a person is too immature, it's like they're a great person, they've always been there for me, but certain aspects I don't want to deal with that, because I already went through that. I already grew through that, and I'm not God. I can't take you through that situation. I can only let you do that for yourself. So I can, at that point, I set boundaries. I'm like, okay, in these instances, I'm not gonna mess with you, because I don't want to go through that. I love you as a person. Like, you're a great person. I'm there for you and you're there for me, but I'm going to set this boundary. I don't even have to tell you about the boundary. It's in my head, because it's not to say, you know, I don't want you to know. It's more so people take things ways that they don't need to be taken. I don't, you know, you have to put people in categories.
Oh my gosh, my mom used to always tell me that, because I used to just want to cut everybody out. And something that I'm still learning now at 23 is like, you have your childhood friends, you got your party friends, you got your business friends, you got your friends, all around friends. And that's something that I'm learning too. And I had seen a girl on TikTok talk about this, and she was like, she's learning how to maneuver through life through her friendships by placing people in certain categories. So instead of just saying like, I'm completely done with your ass, I'm gonna just change how I move with you.
It's not like, okay, it can be like, okay, we went out and you acting a fool, whatever. We went out, you acting a fool. But whenever me and you are hanging out at home and we chilling, it's cool. We have genuine conversations. We talk about team building, whatever. But when we go out, you act a fool. I'm like, okay, just not going to invite you to go out. I'm not going to partake when you go out. But I would love to hang out with you at the crib. Would love to go eat dinner with you, you know, whatever. But I just won't do that with you.
I won't do this specific thing.
And I don't have to tell you that, because what's the point of hurting your feelings? It's not, and it's not for you. It's not for me to hurt your feelings. It's just for me to maneuver my life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've definitely learned placing people in categories, not to use them, but just to keep myself at peace, myself at bay. Friends, family included. It doesn't matter.
Family too, for sure. Family too. Like you definitely, because like if you don't have those boundaries, you will go for anything. Like people can say and do whatever, and that's something that I'm learning how to do too. And I also like that you said like you don't have to tell people your boundaries. It's like you'll catch on to it, and it might be uncomfortable at first, but if you want to be in my life long term, I feel like you'll conform to the new guidelines.
And that's not
that
to
I have.
say like I won't discuss my boundaries, because certain things like do have to be discussed, like okay, I'm not smoking anymore, so don't ask me if
don't ask me stuff like that.
And at that point, but yeah, like me personally being 25, I've learned that I can address something, but if it's like a character, like if it's like a behavior versus like, oh, that's in you, like I can't change that.
Yeah, like you need to go talk to the lady. You need some help.
You need to talk to the lady. Look,
I'll be telling you I'm not the lady.
There's some things I can like be like, okay, I don't like how you burped in my ear at dinner.
Yeah, I don't like how you chewed that piece of gum.
But
Like,
if it's like
that.
I don't like the way you looking at bitches' asses when you right next to me, it's disrespectful. I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm just gonna be like, I don't think it's gonna work. Some of the things you're doing, I'm just not comfortable with, and I don't think it's gonna change. Because those certain things that's like in you know what I mean? Like, so there's certain things, yes. And it doesn't mean you have to cut people off cold turkey too, because like even exes, you can be friends with exes, like you can be friends with people that.
Do you really feel like that? You could be friends with exes, like have a genuine good friendship?
I feel like you need to give it time, like however much time you need, but I do genuinely feel like if you both genuinely get over it and the path, I'm not saying go out your way to be friends with them, but
I
I'm
got
saying,
a couple exes on my hit list. Y'all ain't gonna never get up with me. Y'all ain't gonna never get up with me.
No, it's a few that like it's a few that I won't be friends with, just because the reason why we broke up is like I said, I can't change that about you. I mean, unless it's been like 20 years and I know you went to therapy, and you might not even have been to therapy, but you've grown through life.
You worked on yourself,
something. But it all depends on time. I'm not saying like right now I would be friends with any of them, but in due time, and it just depends on situations. I believe some people are mature enough to have that relationship.
I'm gonna make it very clear. I don't like none of you niggas.
I can.
She can vouch for that too. She know.
I can agree.
I don't like none of y'all. But yeah, I do. I do have like one or two who I'm like genuinely cool with. Like we call each other, we check in. Like that's my homie
like
for
I always
life.
had, at one point I did love y'all, so it's like to me that means I always love y'all. Y'all are part of my life, so I wish y'all the best.
That's what that boundary got to come in too, because it's like don't think you slick. You're not gonna slick talk your way back into my life. Like,
I wish you the best, but you can't give me you can't give me twice. Okay?
Yeah.
Look, fool me once, shame on me.
Oh, look, here she go.
Fool me two times.
Yeah. Ooh wee.
No,
yeah, it's crazy.
But I believe it. It depends on the person, depends on the situation. I believe that people are mature enough. I believe if you're honest, it just depends. Like if you with somebody that you fuck with and you believe,
Yeah. So just learning how to move with people in your life. In all aspects, mom, dad, siblings, friends. And it can be so tough too. It's like, especially because we put these expectations on the people in our lives. And that's something that I'm learning now too in my healing journey. It's like, if I want you to be this person that I want you to be, and I don't feel like you're doing it, I'm going to cut you off. But I'm learning that's not okay. Like I can't have you or make you conform to the idea that I have in my head. And that's my problem too. I always fantasize. Fantasize situations, relationships. Like I go off this fantasy or this ideal image. And if you don't live up to it, I'm pissed.
But I seen this video, and this girl was like, she was like, I went to therapy and I was telling my therapist about my expectations, and she was like, well, how can you have expectations for other people? You can't make them act. So basically at that point she said, you can implement a boundary, and if they don't withhold that boundary or respect that boundary, then yes, but having an expectation for somebody is only going to lead to disappointment, because you can only expect things out of yourself, because I can only act for myself, but I can place that boundary, and until if you cross that boundary or don't meet the criteria or the boundary, then at that point, yes. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, so I seen that video and I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
it's just, it's really trial and error. And it's also just figuring it out in life, and also just learning how to be more receptive and open to certain things, and not being so like closed off or closed minded. Because I know I can get like that.
I was too open. And too receptive.
Too open. Okay. Right. And see, I was too close. And we had that like issue, not with each other, but when we were living together. Remember, like we would tell people like, I remember we went somewhere, I think Fat Tuesdays, and we had a conversation in a car, and I'm like, jazz has helped me so much. Like, I'm learning to be more open to friendships, open to talking to people.
And I'm learning
this
to be
podcast, like, I am telling so much on my business on these episodes, but it's helping people. Like, I get so many people reaching out to me like, thank you for this. And then you're learning how to put your foot down now too, having those boundaries, closing people off. Like, no.
And I used to tell everybody on my business, I used to just be so naive to everything. Yeah, so I used to go tell everybody my business and be like, yeah, whatever. But now I'm realizing, like, okay, no. Yeah. I'm going to keep everything to myself. I share few things. But, you know,
and that's all that's needed. Yeah, you just got to find a middle ground, common ground of having a good balance of both. Like, yes, I want to share this experience with you in this part of my life, but I'm not going to let you in too much on it. Like, I'm going to give you a little bit, but you're not going to have all of it.
Because people will take it and run.
They will, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah, y'all crazy out here. We might be a little crazier, but
y'all a different type of crazy.
Y'all a different type of crazy. But oh my gosh, thank you, Jazz. Thank you for joining and sharing your experiences.
Thank you.
Opening up to me and the people and letting them know too, like, it's okay to find yourself and figure yourself out at any point in life. Doesn't matter if you're doing it at 17. Doesn't matter if you're doing it at 25. As long as you're trying.
So. Doesn't matter if you're doing that 65.
Yeah. As long as you get it done.
I think you're always going to be rediscovering yourself. It's never going to be a point where you're not discovering yourself. So the moment you think you have it all figured out is the moment that you're going to, life is going to have one of them moments for you. You know what I'm talking about when God say, oh, you thought you you thought
I got something for your ass.
God said, oh, you thought you ate? Give me that fucking plate. Look, no, I think you're always going to have to rediscover yourself. So I would just say, there's a book called How to Not Give a Fuck, and it talks about finding like 5 to 7 core values of yourself.
Me and Jalen were just about to buy that. Like, we literally said we were about to start another book to read together. Okay.
Or if you're in Arizona, get you a library card. It's free, and then get you this app called Cloud Library. They got a whole bunch of audiobooks and ebooks for free. That's why I read it. Okay. But yeah, that book basically just gets you 5 to 7 core values. Follow those values. Life might change or switch up. Your personality might change or switch up, but you got your values. You're always discovering yourself, and as long as you stick to your values, then nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it might go.
Wait, hold on. Don't get a false hope now. You might have
it might be a little easier.
You're gonna have a little bumps in the road, a couple hurdles.
But that's life. Just change your perspective.
Either way,
I think that's all it is. Life is all about perspective. Like I never think of things as negative anymore. Like, when I start feeling overwhelmed about things that I feel are negative, I'm just like, it's just redirection. It's not meant for me. Like, even if it's something like a stupid thing with your, I don't know, with a fucking bank card or whatever, like, everything is redirection. It's just not meant for you, and that's okay. Everything's going to come when it's supposed to. So if you know that and you're securing that with that perspective, and then it'll flow
a little easier for you. Yes, just boundaries, learning yourself. Yeah,
keep learning everything, yourself, the world, everything.
Yeah, learning doesn't stop at a specific age, and it definitely doesn't stop after college. You should always be educating yourself too. Just with certain things. Yeah, definitely be a sponge. But
hell yeah, that's what I was saying. Stay young too.
Yeah.
What we giving advice? Okay,
young and turn.
Go out and have fun, but don't have too much fun. Get your shit done.
Yeah,
bars.
Don't be on the side of the road in Scottsdale passed out after you just did a line of coke and whatever else. But have a good balance of fun.
Have a good boundary with yourself
too. Yeah, but thank you guys. That's all for episode 3.
Make sure y'all follow me. I do stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah,
and graphic design.
Social medias will be linked below. Thank you.